Hello there and welcome to Tom's Warhammer Minis. Poxbringers project an air of malign authority. They stand taller and broader than the plaguebearers that surround them, their lumpen heads crowned with magnificent sets of rotting antlers. In this video I'll guide you through how to quickly paint up this fun quirky character following the box art look in the easiest way possible. So grab your paints and your brushes, let's get hobby. And we're beginning with the Poxbringer. It's an awesome model, very similar to the other things I've done, but it's always nice just to have a handy guide for awesome models. Now there are some points to note to begin with. The model is fully primed in White Scar. I've already applied a texture paint to the base because it's just this little open area here and around the back. Might as well do it now because I'm going to be covering it in detail later on anyway, so I'm not going to make any mistakes. But there are a couple of build differences, not because you get build options on this model. I've had this model for many years and I've obviously made mistakes. Somehow I managed to forget to build the tongue. So this tongue is slightly different. It's made of green stuff, but we'll be painting it in the box art colours. And the arm, I had a slight little build problem here. So if it looks slightly odd towards the end, it is a me thing. It doesn't affect what will happen if you copy the guide. So that's all done. Those boxes are ticked. Let's get to painting. So first of all, we're going to start the skin tone of the Poxbringer. Nice and simple. We have got the Skeleton Horde bone details too, but we're doing the green first. Essentially, Skeleton Horde's more translucent and it will make sense when I explain it. So let's talk that green mix first. We've got 3 paints here. It's a 2:2:1 ratio mix. So take 2 parts of Gutrippa Flesh and think of this as your skin tone. Take 2 parts of Mantis Warrior's Green, and this is going to add some toxicity to that colour. And then to help with the flow, because we've got a lot of large surface area to cover, we're taking 1 part of Lahmium Medium. So 2 parts Gutrippa, 2 parts Mantis Warrior's Green, 1 part Lahmium Medium. Mix that together. When we're talking parts, we're talking brush loads into a palette. Nice and simple. Take it section by section. I did the legs first and just work your way down. Nice and simple. Really not much to it. What we're not doing, so where we got the Skeleton Horde details, we're not painting on them. We're having a nice fine line where there's absolutely nothing happening. So for instance, let's stay here. I've painted on the flesh area and I'm just painting straight down. I'm not creating any mix or blend or transition into that bone area. So it's very, very blank. Let that completely dry. And then once it is, we're going to Skeleton Horde, and this is for all of our bone details. And nice and simply, and I'm going to use the head here as an example, when we're painting it down, we're just going to go slightly onto the skin tone. Some areas it's going to look a little bit odd, other areas it's going to look absolutely fine. We're going to add shade paints, and that's really where the blending is going to really help us later on. So this is what we're looking for at the moment. Get that little bit done. Let it dry, we'll move on to shading those details. Next up, we're going to shade that green skin and we're going to start creating that natural blend that we see on the horn. So it's darker at the top, going to the lighter at the bottom. We're going to start the skin tone first. We're going to take Poxwalker and I'm filling this down in a 1:1 mix with Lahmium Medium. Nice and simple. And once again, exactly like before, just paint it all over. Check for pooling because it is a shade paint. It is a lot thinner, but we just want it all over that green skin tone. Now, for the horns, we're going to do something called feathering. The colour is going to be Gore Grunta Fur. Feathering is where we apply the paint onto the model, and while it's wet, and this is where contrast paints come into a real good effect, because water breaks down contrast paints. We're going to wash the brush, and while it's damp, not completely sodden, but damp, we're going to move the paint into the area where we want to create that lighter blend. Essentially, the water breaks down the contrast paint, literally disintegrating it apart, so you get this natural blend from dark to light. Nice and simple. We're doing that on all of the horns, and there does need to be a bit of speed and precision here. The beauty of Gore Grunta Fur, why I've gone with this colour, is because it's a nice mid-tone brown that works really well over Skeleton Horde. Essentially, I'm going to do another paint at the very tips in the same style, but we need this first in place. So, get the Poxwalker done, get the Gore Grunta Fur done, and we'll move on to the next step. Next up, we're going on to the next two colours. So we're going to start the horns again. We're doing feathering once again. We don't need to explain what that is now. But we're taking Wyldwood, and this is just going to be for the very tops of each of those horns. So we've now got that three-tone tier of Wyldwood into Gore Grunta, into Skeleton Horde. And that just finishes off the base coat for all of our horns. So that's that done. Nice and simple. Moving on to the skin tone, I like to pick out all of the pus spots. Sounds wonderful when you say it that way, but it is a beautiful thing if beauty can be applied to Nurgle of these models. Nazdreg Yellow is the colour here. We don't need to relayer anything. We're just taking the paint in its purest form and just apply it over the pus spots. The beauty of this is it's your choice. You do as many, as little, or none as you want. For me, I like to pick them out, so I've gone for every single one. So if that's what you want to do those steps and we'll move on to the next stage. Next up, we're moving on to the turquoise detailing and the pink detailing. And the reason we're doing them together is because of that tongue. We want to create this transitional blend. So the two colours are nice and simple. We're not thinning them down. Terradon Turquoise, obviously, for the turquoise. And probably, you guessed it, for the pink, Volupus Pink. Nice and simple. Volupus Pink going all over all the guts. Terradon Turquoise going over all the sword. The way I'm going to paint the sword will be zero edge highlights. As you can see, a lot of that darkness has already been in place. Now keep an eye on the pooling here. I've applied it quite heavily into those areas. It's not finished. I'm going to do something else next. But if you put too much, you're going to find it drains too heavily towards the bottom and potentially onto those actual edge highlights. You don't want that. Avoid it. If anything, you don't even need it this dark. I've gone that way because I know what I'm doing. I will be using a black paint to actually fill in those areas up to the edge, not including the edge, finishing the sword off in one go. So, Volupus Pink for the guts, nice and simple. Bring the Volupus Pink onto the tongue, round about 2/3 of the way down, wash your brush, swap to Terradon Turquoise, paint it on the tip. So we've got this area, then apply more up to the tongue, start creating a blend, and then go back to Volupus Pink just to create a transition. Nice and simple, easy to do, and that's it for those details. Let it dry and we'll move on to the next step. Next up, we're going to finish off the sword entirely. We're going to use the same colour to do the hair, and we're going to shade our Volupus Pink details as well as tinting the skin around it to start creating this gorish effect. It won't be finished, we'll be adding more later on. So to begin with, we're going to start with the sword. Nice and simple, we're taking Black Templar, and with this paint, we're literally painting it into those areas, so in this case the recesses of the sword, up to the edge, not including the edge, leaving the Terradon Turquoise as the automatic edge highlight. It's vivid, it stands out really nicely, the sword is complete. It's as simple as that. While we've got the Black Templar to hand, we're also base coating the hair of the severed head that the Nurgling's holding. Nice and simple. Moving on from that, to shade our Volupus Pink details, we want a reddish tint. So I'm going Berserker Bloodshade. Nice and simple. Paint this over all the Volupus Pink details. And then on the skin, we're going to do feathering. So paint it around the area. So for instance, this area, we just paint it entirely. But on the top area, paint it around the top edge. Wash your brush and feather out that paint. Do it as quick as possible because you don't want a drying line. But it won't be the end of the world. Essentially, we're going to be splattering blood for the blood god towards the end. But we won't do that till we're ready. So get those details done and we'll move on to the next part. Next up, we're moving on to some of our other details. So to begin with, we're going to paint the Nurgling. Nice and simple, the skin tone that we see on the box art is a pale flesh tone. The colour I'm using here is pure Guilliman Flesh. Nice and simple, paint it on. We're going over the pus spots, which we'll cover in Nazdreg Yellow too. The only area I'm not doing is the teeth, because that we need to put in the Skeleton Horde. So Nazdreg Yellow, once it's dry over the spots, and that includes the one on the severed head here. The head, however, is not in Guilliman Flesh. We're going for a different colour there. So let's move on to our head, the one that is severed. This one we're going Reikland Fleshshade. Essentially, I need this as an underlayer. I want to paint over it with a different colour to show that it's quite old, quite knackered, quite diseased, as is typical with Nurgle. So this is just a nice skin tone underlayer. Once again, paint it all over. Areas to note, I've done Volupus Pink and the Berserker Bloodshade on the severed part. You've got Black Templar on the stitchings of the eyeballs and the mouth, and then Nazdreg Yellow on the pus spot. Nice and simple. That's the head and the Nurgling base coated. Moving on to the base, we've got the rocks that it's standing on. Obviously, intestines sort of droop all the way behind it. We're going with Basilicanum Grey. Nice and simple. We're not filling it down, just paint it neat straight over those rocks. Then, if you're copying with me and doing Sternum Mud as the base coat, or the base, should we say, texture, then I've taken Agrax Earthshade and shaded it nice and simply straight over that. Let all of that dry, and we're going to just add a little bit to the Nurgling next, and then tint the head skin as well. Next up, going back to the Nurgling, we're going to base coat the eyes. Nice and simple, take a small airbrush, and you only need the tiniest amount on the tip. We're taking Blood Angel's Red. Essentially, it's going to get quite dark because we've already got the Guilliman Flesh over it. There's no need to avoid that. It just means we've got a darker red in the recesses, and when we do a little dot highlight towards the end, it will really stand out more. So, pop that in there. Moving on from that, we're going to tint the skin tone of the head. Nice and simple. Poxwalker is the colour here. Don't overload the brush because otherwise it's going to be too strong. Just have a small amount and just move it around. Essentially, you can even put a big blob to begin with on and just quickly move it all the way around. Doesn't matter if it goes on the Black Templar, that's dark enough as it is. It just gives that sort of almost zombified kind of state to the head. Finally, we're going to take, and trust the pox, it is Iyanden Yellow. Now with this colour, once again, we're doing exactly the same as the Nurgling eyes. We only want the tiniest amount. Only this is going to be for our Poxbringer's eye. Nice and simple. All we've got left to do is base coat the metallics. And finally, for our base coating, we need to do the metallics and shade them. So 2 simple colours, nice and easy. We're going to take Screaming Bell, and this is for our bronze details. So quite literally on the bells. And then you've got the little metallic part right at the hilt of the sword here. Nice and simple. And then there is a tiny amount of silver. And we're going to use Iron Warriors. And this is really just the chains that are holding the bells onto the horns. Nice and simple. So, let that dry. We need to shade them. We want a bit of grunge. We want a bit of grime. We're going with Agrax Earthshade. It's just absolutely perfect just to show that age, that dirt. And it will just help later on when we do some brighter verdigris. So, once that's done, the model is battle ready. It's absolutely perfect just to stick on the tabletop straight away, but it's a character. We want to make him pop a little bit more, so we're going to add some highlights and just really finish off the model. Next up, we're going to cover the highlights, and I'm going to split this into 2 sections. We're going to go through all the highlights now to finish off the model, and then in the next part, I'll go through some texture paints just to add some finer detail. So to begin with, we're going to go for each colour, one at a time. So, first of all, Deepkin Flesh. This is going to be following all the curvature and doing all the highlights on the skin tone of our Poxbringer. Nice and simple, we're just following the curvature as you can see, and with the way of contrast painting, it's pretty much already in place, so we're just following it along, giving it that real sharp finish. Moving on from that, we're going to take Screaming Skull. Now this is going to be edge highlighting and also dry brushing. So dry brushing, nice and simple, this is the base, so for the sternum mud and for the rocks. But for edge highlighting, we're following, again, the curvature of all the bones. You know, those protruding sort of horns and tusks, the nails, the claws, that kind of stuff. But also spot highlights on the pus spots, as well as for the bigger ones, just following the outer ring edge of them. Nice and simple. Moving on from that, I'm taking Flayed One Flesh, and this is going to be little spot highlights and little edge highlights on the face, as well as the Nurgling. Nice and simple, just following the curvature of the muscles there too. Next up is Administratum Grey. Now we only need a little bit of this. This is just to follow the curvature, the outlines of the strands of hair of our severed head. Moving on from that, I'm taking Emperor's Children, and I'm using this one to do all of our Volupus Pink details. Nice and simple. I'm not worrying about the tongue. Essentially what I'm going to do there is just apply hard coat. However, that's because my tongue doesn't have an actual edge. That's because obviously it's not the right one. But if you have your tongue with the edge, you'll be using that on there too. Nice and simple. Moving on from that one, I am taking Wild Rider Red, and this is going to be a spot highlight. We're just picking out the eyes of the Nurgling to create that glowing effect. Moving on from that, I'm taking Abaddon Black, and I'm having the tiniest, and we're really talking tiny amount on the tip of a brush, and it's just to dot the eye of our Poxbringer. Finally, we've got the metallic details to do. Nice and simple. Sycorax bronze for all of our bronze details. Not really much to do here. Obviously the bell's the main thing, but we're going to add verdigris. So it's going to be very bright. We're going to make that all tie together in the next step. And then for our silver details, nice and simple. Stormhost silver, and again there's hardly anything to do there. So with that, the model is parade ready. Looks great. We're just going to add a few more texture paints just to finish it off. And finally we're going to finish off the model just with a few texture paints to really enhance the overall look. Now I'm not using a dry brush here. I'm using a small airbrush that's so old, so battered, so useless. It's great for applying texture paints. It's great for stippling on small things in small areas. So I've taken Blood for the Blood God, and I'm literally just stippling this on, as I say, with a battered old small airbrush onto all of those exposed intestines and Volupus Pink areas. Not the tongue, but all of the wounded areas. And I'm just extending it slightly above onto the skin where the flesh has parted, which means that Deepkin Flesh, which was a really strong highlight on those areas, now blends in naturally with the Blood for the Blood God. So that's that bit, nice and simple. Next we're going to add verdigris. This is going to go onto our bronze details, and I'm just put a little bit on the base too. It's what I've done with my other models. Now I have a particular mix for this one. 3 parts of Briar Queen Chill, and with that mix 1 part of Lilac Oxide, and I've talked about this quite often before in my other videos. Essentially it's turning this into a contrast paint, keeping the same colour, same aspect of the technical paint, but giving you pure control. So 3 parts Briar Queen Chill, 1 part of Lilac Oxide, and just as little or as much as you want. It's as simple as that. Finally, we can't have a Nurgle demon like this without a bit of Nurgle's Rot. So this is just for the base, just to enhance the overall look, show that it's in a slimy terrain because it's Nurgle. And finally, this really is personal preference. It's because obviously I've got a mistake with the tongue, which I've talked about. I've taken Art Coat, a gloss varnish, and just applied it simply on, just to give it this wet, sickly look. Again, with the main tongue, which I assume you would all have, if you want to apply it, but it's not necessary. It's always personal choice. But while I've had this to hand, I've just applied a small amount onto the eye, as well as the eyes and the Nurgling too, just to give it that shiny look. With that, the model is done. All I'm going to do now is apply a couple of tufts, and I've already corrected the rim of the base, made it nice and neat, and I'd recommend you doing the same to give it that, finished look. And there we have it. The Poxbringer is complete. It's a great little model, and for me it's just testament proof that, you know what, you make mistakes all the time. Doesn't matter what level, what skill you are, and you can easily turn mistakes into advantages. It's a great model, really fun to paint, really simple too, and it just makes me excited for the new releases that are coming next week. Now if this video has helped and inspired you, then please do give it that all important like, share. And I always say this, it's not about being fame hungry here. This is about helping the Warhammer community, inspiring, showcasing different colours, different mixes, different paints, and to help teach people how to contrast paint. And if you haven't subscribed, then do consider so. It supports the channel. The more the channel gets supported, the more I get to continue supporting you, the awesome Warhammer community. So, until that next video, do look after yourselves, and happy hobbying.